I have a very important prophetic update word to share with you. Now, if you've been following the page, you know that I don't just come on every single day just for the sake of posting something. I only come on when I truly believe that the Lord has given me a word to share, and that's what I'm going to do. I also never wear a hat, but my hair is wild today, and I need a haircut, so I'm wearing a hat. Now, before I go into this specific word, I want to give a brief summary on the prophetic word that he gave me a little over 3 years ago, because it's important to understand that word in order for you to fully receive this next word. The word was the fall of Saul, rise of David. And over the last 3 years, he's continued to build on that word and give me more clarity of what that word really represents and means. Now, at the time of the Bible, David was given the authority to be the next king of Israel, and it was stripped from Saul. But there was a period of time where we had to allow it to play out, where Saul gradually had a fall until he died. And then David was fighting for his life in the wilderness, just trying to play defense before he finally took the throne. When you parallel that into the natural of the current world that we live in, you have to understand that there is an old guard that is currently falling because authority has been given to a new guard to rise on the earth. But even though that authority has already been given to the new guard to rise, which is the David, you have to go through the process of the old guard being destroyed and taken down. Now, the old guard represents realms of authority, specifically church, family, education, government, media, entertainment, and the medical realm. There are specific people that control those realms, those mountains, but they are a part of the old guard and they're falling. And there is another group of people that are taking position in those mountains and are rising and taking them over. See, when I got this word 3 years ago, I thought that they were just going to fall in the next week. And a lot of people felt that. They're like, something's not right. This wickedness is going to fall. It's going to get taken care of. But what the Lord has revealed throughout the time frame was that it needed to be exposed before justice was brought to it, because everyone needed to see it. And I've said that before on other videos. And I think if you've made it this far on this video, I don't have to go into too far detail with each one of these mountains of all the things that have been exposed in them in the last couple years, because you know it. You've seen the exposure left and right, whether it's companies coming out pushing certain agendas, whether it's government politicians showing that they're compromised, whether it's education systems showing of what they're indoctrinating the kids with, whether it's the media continuing to push lies and their ratings dropping left and right, or even the church, certain pastors getting exposed for things that they're doing in the shadows. It's all coming out. All of this shows you that Saul is falling because he's getting exposed. Stuff that they were able to keep in the shadows are not in the shadows anymore. It's getting exposed. And that's what the Lord does. He shines his light on the wickedness, and then justice comes to the wickedness. So here's this next part of the word that the Lord has shared with me recently, a couple weeks ago. And either Saul has fallen or he's really close to falling. And that's why I've received this new next part of the word, which what we have to do is go to the Bible. After Saul falls on his own sword in battle and he dies, David doesn't take the throne right away. What we see is the commander of Saul's army, Abner, decides to put one of Saul's son named Ishbosheth king over a specific region. And then Joab, who was David's commander, had him king over another specific region. This was not okay because God had said that David would be the next king of Israel, not Ishbosheth. Ishbosheth was doing something by his own will and might, and Abner was helping him do it, but it was never ordained by the Lord. And that's why Ishbosheth is not written down as one of the kings when you look at the end of the story. But this is what happens when a throne opens up. All of a sudden, opportunists and people that want to sit on that throne themselves, they look for their moment to jump on it. And Abner and Ishbosheth saw that moment because Saul had fell and died, that now the throne's open because Jonathan, his other son, died too. So now the throne's open for Ishbosheth to jump on it. And that's exactly what he did. But God never gave him the authority to do that. So it was only a matter of time before that came back on his head. And David took his rightful spot with the throne, not just in a specific region, but he took the throne over all of Israel. Without going into all the details of the story, because you can go to the Bible and read it yourself, but Abner ends up turning on Ishbosheth. Joab ends up killing Abner. And then these raiders that some of other Saul's sons had hired during the time of Saul's reign went and killed Ishbosheth. Before that, Abner went to David to try to say, like, I'll pledge my allegiance to you and get rid of Ishbosheth. And the raiders did the same thing. After they killed Ishbosheth, they went back to David with his head and was like, yo, we pledge our allegiance to you, because they noticed that this wasn't going to last, and that the proper authority was with David, and that he was ultimately going to take the throne over all Israel. So they were positioning themselves to try to be a part of that new guard. But the Lord never had them as a part of the new guard, so they ended up dying. We parallel that to the natural right now and see that the old guard has fallen. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a small season where a bunch of people try to take the throne, to try to take positions in these realms of authority that I mentioned earlier in this video, but they're not going to last. They may try to throw money at it, and they may try to like solidify themselves in those positions, but they're not going to last because the Lord didn't give them the authority to be there. The Bible says that he raises up and he takes down, and that's his word, and his word does not turn up void. It holds true. Now, the really neat thing is that no one in Saul's line remained except for Jonathan's son, but he was crippled. Even Michal, Saul's daughter, turned out not to be able to have children with David. You see, God completely took down Saul's line. He completely took down Saul's kingdom. It was not going to last, any part of it, except for a crippled grandson. And that's what's going to parallel now to the natural, and it's going to happen now today to the current old guard. They're going to try to take the throne next. They're going to try, the people that are left that haven't, really crossed and killed each other, are going to try to take it. But the complete line and guard will be taken down. And then once that chaos is done happening, David will finally solidify himself on that throne. Now, when David finally solidified himself on that throne, he went on offense. He took out so many of the surrounding nations that were wicked against Israel, and he proved to be victorious. And that is the season that we're about to embark on, where those that have been given the proper authority to take position in these realms will take them, and then they will go on offense. So the question is, are you a part of the new guard, or are you part of the old guard? Be careful, because if you are not, in the Lord's eyes, supposed to take one of these realms of authority, and you try to take them, you will end up like Ishbosheth, or you will end up like the raiders that were on the side of, that killed Ishbosheth, or Abner, or anyone else in Saul's line. Back up, stand back, and let the new guard take its position, and David rise. And you're going to have to wait your turn, because the Lord has already put those in authority He's already declared it. He declared David would be king years before he even took the throne. And there's already been declarations of certain people years ago that are going to take positions of authority now on the earth. And nothing will stop it because the Lord already declared it in the heavenlies. So it has to come to earth. It just takes some time for it to manifest. So that's the next word of basically a small chaotic season of trying to take the throne. If you've ever seen the series, The Last Kingdom, it's really cool. It kind of gives you a natural look of what that looks like, because anytime a king was about to die or something was going to happen, people all positioned themselves to try to take that throne. But it belonged to the rightful rulers, and they eventually took it. So I hope that this blesses you and that you followed me on this so far. It's kind of a deep teaching to some. God bless. Enjoy the rest of 2023.